So your origin story, Arno.
So I
Dive
guess
in.
but I'm going to take it in chronological order this time, Christy, because it's a little bit easier. So I think that probably for me, my life in coffee, so to speak, which has been this great career for me, it started when I was 13 years old, and my mom was an inveterate coffee drinker, and my parents were kind of hippies, kind of back to the landers, and so they had a Chemex pot, and they would grind their
Whoa. Wait, what's a Chemex pot? Go
a
into the
Chemex
detail there.
pot. Oh my gosh, I'm never going to get there. A Chemex pot is this thing that looks like an hourglass with its top cut off. It's two cones made out of glass, right? And you put a filter
Okay.
in the top part, you put coffee in there, and you pour your water in there, and then it
Mm.
extracts and it goes into the
We
bottom
have
half.
we have that. I have that in the kitchen. So my
I
my
bet you do.
husband's like this weird coffee. I don't even know what to call him, but
Sounds like a good
he
guy.
you would like him, but he has that, and then he has that other thing that you put on the burner that's glass, and it's kind of a coffee
Oh,
contraption.
yes, yes, that's a siphon pot.
Yes.
Um, I lived in a house once earlier in my career where my housemates called that the coffee bong, and they like eagerly awaited Sunday mornings when I would make a siphon pot, because the
Oh my
coffee is
gosh.
really very excellent out of a siphon pot if it's done well. And it's so exotic to see and everything like that. Everybody in Radioland should
That's
go
fun.
look up a siphon pot as it's actually brewing because it's really it's like really delightful to see and really fun to do.
Well, I feel like if we had known that, you could have had one here and created that
Oh
because
gosh,
we
I
were
you need to have quite a bit of you need like an open flame or other heat source to run a siphon pot. So probably not right here where I'm doing the podcast, but
Are you in
um
the office today or where are you?
I'm in the office. I'm in a soundproof telephone booth here within the Bellwether offices.
Oh, that's great. I'm in my son's bedroom,
Yeah,
which clearly you can probably
I
tell.
like bunk beds. I'm a bunk bed kid. Um, so anyway, let's go back in time.
Go
The
back. So
scene.
you're 13. You're
Yes, I'm
13 years
13 years
old.
old, which would have been 1988, and we're in southern Indiana, and kind of in the middle of nowhere, actually out in the country outside of Bloomington, Indiana, which is a small city in southern Indiana. And my mom was a very hardworking person. I mean, both my parents worked, blah, 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 but my mom was a consultant. She had a killer commute. She had to go into the office every day and she drank a lot of coffee. She does to this day. And when I was 13, I wanted a cup of the coffee and I asked, and she gave me a cup of coffee from this Chemex, that was like half coffee, half milk. And I remember my dad saying like, you're going to stun his growth. And my mom was like, it's half coffee, half milk. It won't be that bad for him. And I think what they couldn't have known was that they were setting me on a path that then would become my passion and my career, right? But I
Mm.
liked it. I liked caffeine. I love caffeine to this day. I liked the taste of it, and I liked the ritual of it, and I liked having something that I could share with my mom. It was of course at 13, I also liked that I felt very grown up when I had it. So yeah, that was the beginning for me, and I didn't really think that much about it. I went to school and got degrees in German language and political science,
Hmm.
which in retrospect is kind of those are the kinds of degrees you're gonna get if you end up in specialty coffee because we're like, again, the founder of Blue Bottle used to joke it's the revenge of the liberal arts majors in here. Um,
Yeah.
mo yeah, there's no degree for coffee. There wasn't at the time. There actually such things exist
Yep.
now.
Oh,
But it
wow. I
collect
didn't realize that.
Yeah. So it was just a thing. It was like something that I enjoyed and I partook of a lot. I was always somebody who drank a lot of caffeine and a lot of coffee. And when I was in college, I got a summer job at this little cafe and roastery in my hometown called the Runcible Spoon. So huge plug for the Runcible Spoon. And anybody out there who's ever been, you know how great it is. They roasted coffee on site, which was unheard of at the time. Okay.
Hmm.
Again, this is like the 90s. It was really not a thing that anybody did. And I learned how to roast coffee, sort of. We roasted it, I would say, in retrospect, maybe without super duper high skill. But
Hmm.
it was fresh roasted coffee, and we were known for that. And again, I graduated from college. I had a little career as a journalist, actually. And then uh, I moved out to the Bay Area and I took on four jobs, which is, I think, a kind of common occurrence for people who are moving to the Bay Area. This was in 2004. And one of those four jobs, I was like bartending and doing construction and writing for a magazine. And also I took a job as a barista, and that job as a barista was with Blue Bottle Coffee. And I was their fifth employee and kind of worked with that company for another decade.
That's really incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
just because the one, and I always feel like as a parent, you make these decisions whether to expose your kid to something, and your
Hmm.
mom, that moment, just given what she was pouring from, or what that thing was called, I can't remember what you were
The
calling it, but
Chemex pot, yes.
a Chemex pot. But given that, kind of set you down this path, which is super
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I think for me, when I really decided on coffee as a career, again, this is like these days that's not such a exotic choice. But back
Hmm.
then, I think every like my dad was like terrified, you know. Um, he could not imagine that coffee could be a career, and certainly not if you start off preparing lattes for people, right? But I think
Hmm.
that um, the like whole barista to boardroom trajectory is not unique to me. That's how a lot of people that ended up having careers in coffee, how we started, right? Which is something cool
Hmm.
about the industry. The industry has done pretty poorly, I would say, at extending this itself as a social mobility tool to all people, right? The people who have really come up through the ranks and flourished do tend to be they look like me. They're like kind
Hmm.
of there's a lot of white guys, to be totally blunt,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And the coffee industry traditionally has had a problem with the specialty coffee industry with diversity and with encouraging diversity. Been, I think, in my experience, someplace where there's been quite a bit of implicit bias.
Hmm.
So, but at the same time, like you can do that in coffee. You can you can really start by just figuring out how to make somebody a drink and end by trying to set prices on dozens of shipping containers of green coffee and think about larger strategic questions and structural questions.
Hmm.